Welcome back to another video. Today we'll be taking a look at this Panasonic Business Partner 150. Alright, so let's talk about the Panasonic Business Partner 150 a little bit before we crack it open and see if it works. So this particular model was salvaged from a recycling center. It was about to be turned into scrap, and luckily enough we have it here. You can see it's a little bit dirty, but overall it looks like it's in pretty good shape. So if we open it up, we can see that it looks like it's actually in pretty good shape on the inside. The keyboard looks pretty nice, and the screen looks like it's in good shape. So the Business Partner 150 is an 8088 portable machine. It's got 640K of RAM built in, and it's actually just a rebadged Tandy 1100 FD. So looking at what it comes with, besides the keyboard and screen, on this side we have a floppy drive, and it's actually got a disk in it. I didn't realize. Some more dirt. On the back we have a bay for the ports. So we've got parallel and serial, and it looks like we have the expansion of a modem card here. And I think the modem was stock on these, but it can be removed. And then on the side we have power in and the power switch. All right, well, let's get this back to the bench and see if this thing works, and if not, let's see if we can fix it. All right, so here is our Panasonic Business Partner 150. I think the first thing I want to do is just give it a little bit of a clean. I don't know what kind of dirt this is, but I'd rather not touch it, I guess. I'll just see. Oh yeah, that comes right off. It's, well, most of it came right off. Alright, well, it's looking a bunch better already. And we got some scuffs on here, and I think for the scuffs I'm just going to hit some Windex on my magic eraser and see if we can't get those scuffs to buff out. That one came right off, and then there's some back here. And those came right off as well. A few more imperfections here. Alright, so overall it looks like it's in pretty decent shape. I already talked about this machine. This one has a backlight, so it's got the contrast here. It looks like somebody had put a Letter Perfect template on here. I've not heard of Letter Perfect, but I assume it's a word processor of some type for 8088 machines. So looking at this, it takes 9.5 volts. It's embossed on here, which is nice. 9.5 volts DC, and it's center negative. So for that, I have one of these variable voltage power supplies. So I got this on Amazon. I think it was like $22, and it's by Schnitt Power, not the other way. Schnitt Power. And so what this comes with is a variable voltage power supply, center negative adapter, as it puts out center positive, and then a bunch of barrel jacks and other types of jacks to connect into various computers. So we've got USB Type-C, USB micro, I forget what the name of this one is, but the two blocks you can attach a wire to, and then just a bunch of barrel jacks. So let's find the correct barrel jack for this one. I'm guessing it's this blue one here. That seems to fit. And we'll need to use the pole reverser to get center to be negative. And so we'll plug this into my power, into mains power. And we'll plug this in all to here. Let's go ahead and turn this on. 9.47, that's pretty close. And what I like to do, since this is, you know, made in China, kind of cheap, I always like to just test it to make sure everything's good before I plug any equipment into it. So I'm on DC volts here, and we wanted center negative, so I'll put black into the middle. I'll touch red. And we're getting about 9.54 volts. So it's a tenth of a volt higher than it claims on its display, but we got the polarity right, and either way that's close enough. So set this off to the side, plug it in, open it up, like this here. So like I said, I haven't turned this on. I don't know if it works. This might be a really short video, or it might be a really lengthy repair video. So let's power it up and see what happens here. Well, it beeped. No, it looks like it's actually posted and it's booted. So these machines, as you saw, have the floppy drive, but they also have a ROM that boots into DOS as well. So that's what it's booted off here. It's not using the floppy drive. So let's just hit enter to set time, date, and there we are, booted into DOS 3.30. So I'm gonna turn this a little bit so I can see it. On the ROM disk, we have a couple of utilities. There's a diag, a disk copy, a format, and a setup 150. So let's check out setup 150 first. This is how you would modify any of the BIOS settings. There's no like BIOS break on these 8088s, so they have to write programs to do it. All right, we've got some settings here. So the first one is memory diagnostics on startup. That's set to no. Serial port assignment. Primary is RS-232C, secondary is the modem. Primary startup device is ROM. I presume we can change that to floppy if we want. Yep, it's a disk. DOS startup, so buffers, open files, max, checking for config.sys and autoexec.bat, looking for those on C. And then power management. Floppy disk standby set to enable. Display timeout interval is 8 minutes, and display backlight is set to on. I prefer to leave that on. It looks really nice. It's actually quite bright. And so this won't change the backlight brightness, it will only change the contrast. So the backlight remains on, but it just is how much of the blocking the pixel is doing to prevent it from coming through. All right, so not a ton of config options in here. This is EEPROM not updated because I didn't make any changes. The other thing on here I wanted to look at was diag. Laptop computer diagnostics. Do you want printed output? I think so. So we can test all devices. Let's just go ahead and run that and see what we get. Alright, well I don't think there's any problems with any of that stuff. So this machine might just work. Now I'm a little skeptical that the floppy drive is going to work. When I was looking these up online, I saw that the floppy drive on these is controlled by a belt. So there's a main spindle that spins the disk, there's a motor, and it's belt driven, and that belt is either stretched out or flaked off. So I think probably we're going to have to tear this thing apart at the very least and replace that. But we can do a quick test here. So let's exit out of this 4, and it's rebooted. All right, so this disk that's in here, let's see what it tells us. It says the Treehouse Disk 2 by Broderbund for IBM Tandy and 100% compatible. It's a low density disk. It says 720K here, so let's see if we can read it. So we'll go to A, do a DIR. And it failed. And I don't know if you could hear that in the video, but what I heard was the motor spinning and not the disk itself spinning. So I do believe that the belt here is in need of replacement. All right, so let's get the disk out of here. Let's go ahead and power it off. Unplug it, and let's start tearing it down. So I think the first thing we need to do is take this battery cover off. Oh, and inside we have an actual Tandy branded battery. So we'll pull that out. This battery, I'm sure, is got very dead. This so we can probably just recycle this. I don't believe this is required to have installed to make the machine boot. And then there's some various things we need to take apart to get this guy open. So what I'm going to do is lift this up carefully, unplug the cables that are going to the top. Looks like there are just two. Let me bring the camera down to show you. All right, so lifting up the top, you can see there are the two sets of wires coming out. There's the one running over to the left side here, which I think is an activity light. I don't recall. And then there's the other one that's running into the system, or into the monitor itself. So the keyboard's still attached, so these aren't keyboard cables. This is all strictly for the monitor. And if we go in here, you can see that those are the cables that need to come out. So now when you're taking cables like this out, it's really important to remember not to pull on the wires themselves, but to pull on the connector. If you pull on the wires might just yank out of the connector, and then you've got a bigger problem on your hands. So I'm gonna put the camera back up and very carefully try to remove these connectors. All right, and here we have our board. You can see up here we've got the ROM on the right, copyright Microsoft and Tandy, no mention of Panasonic, and our character generator, which we used that Diag utility to test. It seems like all the character generator functions are working fine. Didn't see any issues. We have our various support chips, our processor, our RAM, the MBB 1464-12. So if one of the RAM chips had failed, I think we could replace those pretty easily. They're not socketed, but they look pretty easy to replace. We have a VLSI custom chip here. A lot of the power comes in, power jack is here, and here's all the power delivery circuitry. Here's the video out that we unplugged earlier. Here's the BIOS battery. Nice lithium that doesn't leak. It's great. And then we have this empty space up here in the front. Now I looked online and there's some speculation about what this was for, but I think it was answered that this connector is for RAM expansion, so you can get this up to 1 megabyte of RAM. It really looks like this is a good space for a hard drive. You could fit a hard drive there, but I don't think that this connector supports that. It might just be an expansion of the ISA bus, so maybe you could wire something in that converted ISA to a hard drive controller, but I'm pretty sure it is just for memory expansion at this point. All right, so floppy drive has some screws here and some screws here, so let's get this guy out and see if the belt is bad, which I'm assuming it is. So if you look closely at the spindle here, it's got a bunch of holes on the outside, and that is because that is what the drive uses to determine the speed that it's running at. So it knows how to read the tracks. And if you look here, this little board has a diode on the top, which emits probably infrared, and then a optical light meter on the bottom. So as light goes through these holes, it knows the speed at which the disc is rotating. And I think there should probably also be one hole that is going to be bigger than the rest so that it knows when it's gone through a full rotation. Let's see if we can find that. Well, hey, I was mistaken. It's actually smaller than the rest. So right here, there are a series of 2 little holes next to all of the standard big holes. So that's how it knows when it's made a complete rotation, and that's how it can control the speed. So yeah, I think this drive belt is stretched out or trashed or something. So let's get this one out of here and replace it with a good drive belt. So now we can go ahead and put everything back. So we're at 9.47 according to this, which should be about 9.57. We've got the polarity changer inserted. So let's plug it in. Oh, and we need to put the covers back on for the hinges. Oops, this one goes on this side. And this one goes on this side. And there we go. So let's see if it still turns on. It does. That's great. And then let's see if we can read the disc. All right, here goes. And there we go. We can read the disc. So that was a pretty simple fix. So what's on here is a single file called Tree HS2, no extension, and 730 bytes, and the disk is full of that one file. So let's get a game or something a little more fun to run on here now that we can actually put things on there, and give that a try. Now I think with the type of display this is, any sort of game that has any movement at all is going to look really bad. Probably similar to like the compact portable one, where the redraw speed is so slow that phosphor on those portable ones just glows forever. But let's try something. Let's get a game, run it, and see what we get. All right, so in order to get data to the business partner 150, I needed to use this compact Presario 1200 as a bridge machine. So on my modern Windows computer, I can only write to high density floppies. It's got, the two holes, the high density hole and the read write hole. Unfortunately, I can't write to 800K floppies on my modern PC because I just have a USB floppy drive. So this is a 720 or 800K floppy. As you can see here, it's only got the one hole for read write and no high density hole. So I have a new old stock 720 floppy here. So I went ahead and downloaded a couple of games onto this high density disk on my modern PC, wrote them using my USB floppy drive. So we can take this disk and put it into this Presario 1200. You can open up the A drive, and this is running just Windows XP Home Edition, I think. And it runs it very sluggishly. So the games I've copied here are Round 42 and Snipes. I don't think either is going to work great in terms of redraw speed on the business partner, but they're two of my favorite games, so I wanted to give them a try. All right, so those copied to the desktop. We'll take out the new old stock 720 floppy, pop that in. I believe this one comes pre-formatted. Yeah, it does look like it is formatted. So then we'll take our two games here and just write those to this disk. Oh, okay. Well, this disk seems to have issues. Did anything copy? What do we get? Well, I think we got what we needed. So let's just try to copy Round 42 again. And that's the problem with new old stock. Just because it's never been used doesn't mean it's not free from defects. Doesn't mean it is free from defects. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, copied that time. This disk is a little suspect, but I think it'll be okay. So now I need to plug the business partner back in. I actually just reused that Schnitt power. Again, that's Schnitt with an N. Adapter. I didn't want to dig around in my box of power supplies to find the power adapter for this Presario, so I just cranked the voltage up to 19.5 and use the right adapter. So let's power this guy off, plug this one back in, and then we should be able to run hopefully one of those games if that disk isn't totally trashed. So we'll dial this back down to 9.5. or somewhere thereabouts. A little less, a little less, a little less, a little more. That's perfect. I'll plug it back in. Hit the power button. All right, so let's take that 720K disc and pop it in. And we should be able to read that here. And there we go. So let's check out Snipes first. Hopefully it works. And there we go. All right, so there are definitely some redraw issues here. And I don't know that I can actually shoot unless I turn numlock on. Oh, there's a snipe coming for me. You can see as you move, the vertical walls disappear when you're going left and right, and the horizontal walls disappear when you're going up and down, just because it's not drawing them fast enough. But this actually looks better than it does on the compact portable one, with that long-lasting phosphor that it uses. It really has a image ghosting problem with that. No ghosting here, just not a very fast redraw. So that's actually pretty good. All right, so it runs. It looks okay. It's not great. But let's try round 42. This floppy drive is running super silently now, so that's really cool. There's a bit of a flicker here. I don't think that's going to be too bad. So let's go ahead and see if we can run it. It's got the sound. It's great. So I think F1 is fire. Yeah, I would say this game is pretty unplayable as it is because things are moving so fast. Let's turn the contrast up all the way. Yeah, when those enemies get moving, I can't even see them. I think there's one left. Yeah, it hit me. So this game, not so good. Oh, there's gonna be any way we're gonna make this one work. But you know what? That's all good. Machine's working. There are a bunch of text-based adventure games, other games that aren't action games that you can play on an 8088. So no worries there. But the good news is we got this machine working. We're able to get data into it from the modern internet using a bridge machine. And that's really what we're looking to do here today. So I think that's going to wrap it up. Hope you've enjoyed this quick repair of the Business Partner 150, also known as the Tandy 1100. And we will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.
Hi guys! Make sure to like and subscribe and watch more of our videos later. Bye!